Hi Sumates, it's Mitchell. Welcome to Mitchell Fashion Academy. In this video, you will learn how to sew this asymmetrical dress. Let's get started. This is the armhole line, the bust line, the under bust line, waistline, and the hip line. Mark the shoulder measurements and extend the line to the armhole line. Neck width is 4 inches and the depth is 5.5 inches. On this part of the neckline, come down by 3 inches. Then from that 3 inches, connect it to the 5.5 inches like this. You can draw a straight line on top like this, which will serve as guideline when you're drawing the scallop neckline, but I won't be using that. I'll use free hands to make the scallop design like this. This is it. Mark the bust span measurements on the waistline, under bust line, and waistline, and draw a straight line like this. On the waistline, mark 1 inch on both sides of the dart line. Mark the same measurement on the under bust line. On the bust line, come down by 1 inch. That's where the dart lines will start. Connect the dart lines like this. The shoulder slant is 1 inch. On this armhole line, find the midpoint. Connect this dart line to the midpoint. Mark ½ inch on both sides of this dart line. The lower dart line, extend it by 1 inch. And then make the armhole curve like this. On the bust line, mark the bust circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart and your sewing allowance. Mark the same measurement on the armhole line. On the under bust line, mark the under bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches dart and your sewing allowance. On the waistline, mark the waist circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches dart and your sewing allowance. Mark these measurements on the other side of the pattern paper like this. Go ahead and cut, but cut only the side. Do not cut the darts yet. Open your pattern paper like this. On the waistline, come up by 4 inches. And on the hip line, go up by 2 inches. Then make a curve like this. Make a curve from the 4 inches above the waistline to the 2 inches above the hip line. After that, we are going to close the 2 darts. Close the darts on the both sides. After closing it, see that the line is no longer well curved. Curve the line again. You can now cut it. I'm going to set it aside and work on the back pattern. This is the zip line, armhole line, bust line, waistline, and the hip line. Neck width is 3 inches and the depth is 1 inch. Connect a straight line from the shoulder line to the armhole line, like this. The shoulder slant is 1 inch. On the waistline, mark the bust span measurements and extend the line to the armhole line and hip line. On the waistline, mark ½ inch on both sides of the dart line. The darts will start from the armhole line. On the armhole line, mark the bust circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart and the sewing allowance. Mark the same measurement on the bust line. On the waistline, you mark the waist circumference by 4 plus 1 inch dart and your sewing allowance. Cut the side. Do not cut the darts, only the side, just like we did on the front. You can cut the shoulder slant too and neckline. Next, close the zip allowance and close the darts. After that, take the front bodice pattern and place it on the back. The lines should align. Place them together like this. Trace the curve. After that, cut. We can now cut the neckline and the darts. When you're cutting the neckline, be very careful so that you maintain the scallop design. When you're cutting your fabric, instead of adding sewing allowance to the neckline, what you should do is, if the neck depth you want to work with is 5.5 inches, mark 5 inches. The ½ inch will serve as sewing allowance. So when you're done sewing, you will then have the 5.5 inches you want. For the shoulder, add sewing allowance. Next, measure the length of the bodice. Measure on the short side, not the long side. If the length of the gown you're going for is 16 inches and the length of the bodice on the short side is 15 inches, so you subtract 15 inches from the 16 inches. Please do not take your measurement on the long side. So 60 minus 15 is 45 inches. That means the length of your skirt will be 45 inches. Cut 46 inches. The 1 inch will serve as joining allowance on the top and hemline. Gather it, use needle and thread, then you place it on the bodice like this. Place it like this. You take the bodice, place it on the skirt like this and trace the curve. After tracing it, you will see that one side of the skirt will be higher than the other side. That's how it should be. If you attach the skirt to the bodies like that, you will end up with high-low skirts, and that's not what we are going for. So this is the curve. See that one side is higher than the other side. So on that curve, you mark half inch above it, which will serve as sewing allowance. You cut, you then attach it to the bodice. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I hope to see you in my next one. Have a good one. Bye.